Okay. Okay, Olga, everything is recording right now, so just mute yourself. Thank you so much. Everything is on, Olga.
Okay.
John Vuger, the camera, and also the Zoom capacity. See you later. Yes, see you later at the end.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, beautiful. Great. Welcome, everybody. Welcome once again. The recording is in process on Zoom and so on. It will be also posted on the YouTube channel of the Sword Ministries, as usual, and also available on CD with John Vuger and so on. He's the one editing the work. So I would like to welcome you, those online and those in class. Session number 74. Page 25 out of 27. Page 25 out of 27 towards the bottom, number 2, Israel in the Messianic Kingdom. This will be interesting tonight. Lots of notes to do. Last week I gave you, I'm going to make a review in a moment. We are on Israel in the Messianic Kingdom, lowercase parenthetical a, the Shekinah glory. In chapter 60, verses 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to read again and make the very concise review of what we have done last week and carry on in details. You come with me? Isaiah chapter 60, verses 1, 2, and 3.
We're doing silent time in prayer.
Silent time in prayer was forgotten by me. Germaine, faithful as usual, reminded me to keep the silent time and pray. I've completely forgotten. Kenneth, you open in prayer tonight. I'll close. You do it.
Thank you, Father. Thank you for this gathering together of the saints as we glean from your word from Isaiah, this messianic prophecy that's been given to each of us, Father, to understand in a deeper meaning. Let tonight be a revelation like never before. Let the words flow from Dr. Milan like never before. Bless him, Father. Holy Spirit, move through that classroom right now and online to everyone here. You have blessed us with so much, but tonight, Father, let us be overwhelmed with your beauty. And I pray that in Jesus' name.
Thank you, dear beloved. Let's read verses 1, 2, and 3 of the chapter 60. Arise, shine, for your light has come. The glory of Jehovah has risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. But Jehovah will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Nations will come to your light, circle that, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Last week, what I did with you, and I repeat briefly, there will be a presence of the Shekinah glory in the 1,000-year reign. In 5 ways. This is only repetitious, and the 5 ways will be simultaneous, not occasionally, but all at the same time and in the same area. The Shekinah glory will be in the temple number 4 in the Holy of Holies. That was the point number 1. The Shekinah glory will be upon a wall as fire around Jerusalem for protection and so on. We learned that from the prophet Zechariah in chapter 2. Number 3, it will also be into the millennial Mount Zion. Isaiah chapter 2, Jerusalem and Mount Zion is the equivalent, is the same thing. The Shekinah will be number 4 all over the land of Israel. Keep in mind that the land of Israel will be reshaped after the Great Tribulation, so it will be much bigger than it is right now. Fifthly, the Messiah himself will be visible, so the Shekinah will be visible also, because he is the Shekinah. Isaiah chapter 11. Now we reach lowercase a, the Shekinah glory, in the verses that I read here to go more in details concerning this. So everything right now from this point on is new unto you. In verse 1, where he says, arise, shine, for your light has come, he tells us about the coming of the Shekinah glory. He tells us about the coming of the Shekinah glory. at a specific point that I will elaborate later. And this is in answer to chapter 58, verse 8. In chapter 58, verse 8 of Isaiah, then your light will break out like the dawn, and your recovery will speedily spring forth, and your righteousness will go before you. The glory of Jehovah will be your rear guard. So this is it's future tense, and now it's coming for the millennial, the 1,000-year kingdom. That was the promise of the repentance of Israel. And when Israel will be repenting, the Shekinah glory will return, will come back in a visible form. In chapter 59, verse 9, 59, verse 9, it says, therefore justice is far from us, and righteousness does not overtake us. We hope for light, but behold darkness. Circle light and darkness. For brightness, but we walk in gloom. And that problem of 59:9 is now solved in 60, verse 1. They will no longer be in darkness, but they will have the Shekinah. They will no longer, Israel, be in darkness. Circle in your notes the word darkness, but the Shekinah will come. So that problem is fixed by the coming back of the Shekinah. Now listen closely to what I say right now, since it belongs to the end time. Verse 2. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. But Jehovah will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Make a note that the Shekinah glory light, which is the manifestation of God's presence, this is the Shekinah glory, dear beloved. It's exactly what basically Moses saw on Mount Sinai, the bush that was not consumed by fire. Who dwelt in the bush? It was the second person of the triune God. That's the visible presence of God type of thing. The light will come according to verse 2 when darkness will reach the peak on this planet. When darkness will reach its highest blackness and the worst blackness at the end of the Great Tribulation, the Shekinah will come back. And no wonder about it, since in the second half of the Great Tribulation, there will be 2 demonic invasions. So the earth will be very, very much polluted by the occult. And it will be a time of darkness like never seen before. And this darkness will be dispelled by the coming back of the Shekinah glory. Joel, chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. The darkness at the second coming will be dispelled by the second coming of Christ and the Shekinah glory in Israel and so on. But it will be seen when it comes back, even in the center of the earth. Yes.
So that'll be, the Shekinah glory will be different from the rapture, or will that be a manifestation of the Shekinah glory as well?
At the Shekinah glory, at the rapture, there is no manifestation of the Shekinah glory because he comes into the atmospheric heaven. Okay. He doesn't touch the earth. Right. Okay? At the second coming, that's every eye will see that. It's not because of the power of communication. When he comes back at the second coming, right prior to coming back, there is a darkness upon the earth. And the darkness that will be upon the earth will be a darkness that is felt, not only seen. It's going to be like the one of the plague of Egypt. It's a darkness that is felt. It's very intense. And then all of this will be dispelled at the second coming, and it will be seen by all eyes on the surface of the globe, with no exception. It will be so bright, it's brighter than the sun. It was a good question.
Dr. Malak,
Yes.
where does it say, like, the darkness? Where do you reference that? Where it's actually...
Joel and different places also in Matthew. Okay, in the Sermon on the Mount that we will do, you will see the darkness, and also it's one of the major prophet, but it's not on my mind right now. I think it's in the book of Joel. I cannot right now. It's going to come back at night. I know that much. But anyway, I will. You won't be let down. You're going to come across that either in the life of Christ or in the book of Revelation, because there is 3 blackness that will occur during the Great Tribulation. Okay? And I'll give you the related scriptures. Verse 3, nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your rising. Keep in mind that because of the 5 points that I gave you last week, and the coming back of the Shekinah in the land of Israel, upon the wall and so on, this Shekinah will become the center of the Gentile attention. It's going to be very powerful. This darkness coming back will become the center of Gentile attraction, leading to lowercase b, look at your outline, the attraction of the Gentiles, chapter 60, verses 4 to 9. Come with me, we circle a few things together. I read it all. The attraction of the Gentiles, chapter 60, verses 4 to 9. Lift up your eyes round about and see. They all gather together, they come to you. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried in the arms. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will thrill and rejoice. Because of the abundance of the sea will be turned to you. The wealth of the nations will come to you. Circle that. A multitude of camels will cover you. The young camels of Midian, circle Midian, circle Ephah, and all those of Sheva, circle Sheva, will come. They will bring gold and frankincense and will bear good news of the praise of Jehovah. All the flocks of Kedar, circle Kedar, will be gathered together to you. The rams of Nabaioth, circle Nabaioth, will minister to you. They will go up with acceptance on my altar, and I will glorify and shall glorify my glorious house. Circle glorifying my glorious house. Verse 8, who are these who fly like a cloud and like the doves of their lattices? Surely the coastland will wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish. Circle Tarshish will come first. To bring your sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, for the name of Jehovah your God, and for the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. Circle you, it's Israel. Take a deep breath. I have many things to say here. Several things will be seen about the Gentiles' activity in the Messianic kingdom. It's kind of fun right now because it relates to us during that period of time. Number 1 is in verse 4, lift up your eyes round about and see, and they all gather together, they come to you, and your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried in the arms. Number 1, the Gentiles will help in the regathering of the Jews to their land. The regathering in belief. That's the sheep Gentiles that will help the Jews to return. We will learn more, of course, in Revelation, but this is very good for the end time, what we learn from Isaiah right now. Verse 5, then you, Israel, will see and be radiant, and your heart will rejoice, will thrill and rejoice, because of the abundance of the sea will be turned to you, the wealth of the nation will come to you. Whenever the word sea is used sometimes symbolically, it's always Gentiles' nation. Number 2, the wealth of the nation will be brought to Israel. Whatever the nations around the globe are wealthy about, an extent of wealth will be brought to Israel. In verses 6 to 9, that's where you did circle a few nations. And the nations that we see in verses 6 to 9, keep in mind that they will become subservient to Israel. They will be subservient to Israel. And keep in mind also a topic that I have very much on my heart. Many of the nations that I will name right now were very severe enemies of Israel by means of anti-Semitism. And keep in mind that anti-Semitism is on the rise right now. That's probably the only thing that relates to the end time with the war in Ukraine and so on. Our nation, East Canada, support the Ukraine as well as the United States and so on. I'm not debating if it's good or bad, but it's a sign of being anti-Semitic. Verse 6b, a multitude of camels will cover you, and the young camels of Midian. Circle Midian. I'm just going to give you a few details here. The origin of Midian is seen as Genesis 25, verse 2. Genesis chapter 25, verse 2. Who was Midian? He was one of the other sons of Abraham. He was one of the other sons of Abraham from Abraham's third wife. After the death of Sarah. Midian's origin is in Genesis chapter 25, verse 2. He was one of the other sons of Abraham. And when Sarah died, he got remarried twice, and that's the origin of Midian. Verse 6b, you circle Ephah. Ephah was the son of Midian, the first one, and therefore the grandson of Abraham. Genesis 25, verse 4. Genesis chapter 25, verse 4. Still in C, verse 6c, circle Sheva. Keep in mind that in Hebrew the B sound is a V sound. That's why I say Sheva. Sheva is what is currently Yemen. It's modern day Yemen, south of Saudi Arabia. Very anti-Semitic.
South of
Saudi Arabia. Put your eyes on verse 7a. All the flocks of Kedar is the second son of Ishmael. Kedar was the second son of Ishmael. And Kedar gave birth to one of the Arab tribes. Again, issues of anti-Semitism. Genesis 25:13. Genesis chapter 25:13. It's not a complete study of these nations, but I just want to show you what will be happening in the Messianic kingdom, those who will bring their wealth. So there will be no peace. I'm just pausing right now. There will be no peace in Israel until the second coming of the Messiah. Delete of your mind the two-state solution, even if it will come to pass, might not, might yes, it will not bring peace in Israel. The only genuine peace that will come to Israel will be at the second coming of the Messiah. That's an absolute. 7b, the rams of Nebaioth. This is what we call today the Nabateans. The Nabateans. Genesis 25, verse 13. Genesis 28, verse 9. 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 29. These guys are a branch of the Edomites, the Nabateans. They are a branch of the Edom or Edomites. And what is very nice to know, the Nabateans, those are the ones who built the city of Bozrah in Hebrew and Petra in Greek. Without boasting but being very proud of it, I have been there one time in the kingdom of the Hashemite. They built Bozrah and Petra, and that is the place of the second coming of the Messiah. The reason why I mentioned that here is because these two names, Bozrah or Petra, if you go to Elat, straight down south, at the end of the land of Israel, you go to Elat, south. You look across the Gulf of the Aqaba, that's the kingdom of the Hashemite, and it's going to play a major role in Isaiah 63. It's going to play a major role in prophetic system in Isaiah chapter 63. Verse 8 is a very, very difficult verse to understand. There is something happening here that it's basically very difficult to decipher. Who are these who fly like a cloud and like the doves to their lattices here? I researched it. Nobody can be certain of what's going on. Kyle and Delitzsch are the closest. Like pigeons that return to the tower where it's full of holes type of thing to nest there. I would picture the return of the regathering and so on. Okay? What you need to be careful here, it says, and those who are fly like a cloud and like the doves to their lattices. It's a question from Isaiah. And Isaiah at this point doesn't have any vocab on his language to describe what he saw. And some people say that this is 747s and planes that he saw that will basically carry the Jews to their land. But you cannot make a point with this. I am not dismissing that completely, but I kind of prefer the pigeon issue. All right, that he saw planes and he could not say planes in Hebrew. Of course, it's very, very normal because there was no such a thing, an airplane. Okay? Be careful with that. 19a, verse 9, not 19, verse 9a, Tarshish. There was more than one Tarshish in the Old Testament. And they all originated, the people from Tarshish, they all originated from the Phoenicians. P-H-O-N-E-C-I-A-N, Phoenicians. And Phoenicia was colonized by the people of Tarshish. And just to help you out a little bit, the people of Tarshish includes the origin of North Africa, present-day North Africa, Spain, England, the coast of Africa, and all these that I just named to you will help in the regathering of the people at the second coming to their land. The people, it's the Jews, of course. Verse 9b, we have the reason why they do it. To bring your sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, for the name of Jehovah your God, and for the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified you. So these people of different nations will see how God dealt with you, Israel, and they will basically recognize indeed that God is the God of Israel. Do you have any comments to make on the section that we just explored before we move on into the next? I know that sometimes these mentioning of cities and so on can be tedious, but here from the beginning I was asked to do Isaiah in details or in-depth study without skipping anything, and that's the study that you have here. Lower.
It's funny though that everybody at that time will be trying to wipe out Israel, and then Christ will come and it'll be so lit up and so protected, and it takes that to change everybody else.
To change everybody else, there is lots.
Look what it took to do Israel. It took
it.
a lot to get Israel on side, and finally, when they finally are on side, then the world's oh.
That's it. They will see the glory of God, and that basically there will be those also who will keep in mind that there will be Gentiles in the Great Tribulation that will be pro-Semitic, and you have that in your book of Matthew. That's the judgment. The judgment of the sheep and the goats. It's related to the Great Tribulation. The sheep and the goats. It's when they are asked the question, when did you come and see you in prison? When did you see you naked and clothe you? When have I brought you a glass of water? Anytime that you have done these things, you have done these things to my brothers. What was the nationality of Jesus? Jews. So basically, there will be a cluster of Jews that will be very pro-Semitic during the Great Tribulation. And on the other side of the coin, there will be people that will be very anti-Semitic. Okay? And beloved, I need your attention right now. I'll be there, Kenneth. When I mention the word anti-Semitism, you need to raise your eyebrow. Okay? It's very important for me and dear for the training that I received by grace by God. Because our churches nowadays are becoming anti-Semitic. Okay? In what way? Replacement theology. Teaching the people that God has nothing to do anymore with the Jews, that we are the new Jews. This is not even a route to consider. This is devilish. Replacement theology is pure destruction. And keep in mind that most of the ministers around are very, what we call amillennialist, amillennial. In Greek it's no millennial. They are trained from a pulpit, from an amillennialistic point of view. Basically, the 1,000 year that we study right now together, right now, for them, they don't teach it because it's a pure allegory. And when you start to allegorize the Bible, it cannot be called anything else than false teaching and anti-Semitism. Because by being amillennial, you destroy the hope of all the Old Testament saints. You wreck their hope. It's as if I would say to all of you, Jeanette, Olga, and all of you that I see right now, your salvation is just an allegory of something. You should start to shake right now. They take many things literally, but when they don't know what to do with the text because of replacement theology, they dismiss all these things. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. That's why I address it in a dogmatic way. This is a teaching that I would never, ever sat under. Thank you so much for bearing with me on this one. Kenneth, you had a question to that, brother.
Yes. So 9b, you said that the you was Israel, correct?
9b, for the name of Jehovah your God, which you...
I'm sorry, the last sentence.
Yeah, Israel, because he has glorified you. Yeah, the you is Israel. Yeah.
Okay, so the Holy One of Israel, the Holy One, of course, is capitalized, and then he is also capitalized. Is that Jesus through all that too?
Israel, because he has glorified you? Yeah, the triune God, if you want. More specifically, he has glorified you because of the Shekinah in the primary context here is the second person of the triune God.
Like not God. Okay.
Yeah, because God the Father is the Shekinah also, but the second return is the return of the Messiah.
When he said just the one, no, because there is no just one.
No, that's it. But that's why we say the second return of Christ, okay? Because he will return physically. So that's more emphatically the second person of the triune God, but they are all co-equal. All right? Keep in mind that they held the regathering right now. Okay? And the Shekinah glory of God, of course, contextually, it's the manifestation of God's presence. All right? So this is the triune God. On day number 1, day number 3 of creation, 2 and 3, there was no light because the light was only created, the sun and the moon were created on day number 4. Where was the light coming from prior to the sun and the moon? Everything was lit by the Shekinah glory of God.
So there was no darkness then? There really was no darkness then?
Was darkness? Yes, there was darkness with the fall of Satan only. Keep it, Isaiah, Kenneth. Keep it, because it's I don't want to open too many screens right now. Okay? All right? Because when you read Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, what does it say? And God created the heavens and the earth. Number 2, verse 2, and the earth was formless and void. Okay? There is a vav there, construction. God does not create anything formless and void. It became like this. And now you need to ask me when. Say when?
So when the fall came, right?
Not the fall of Adam. Not the fall of Adam.
I mean, when the angels were kicked out.
That's it. The fall of Satan. It became void. Yeah. Ezekiel chapter, don't remember, 28. But it's outside of Isaiah. Okay, it needs a lot of discipline to keep it. That's why read my heart, I want to be honest with you. I am glad about session number 74 of Isaiah. We started strong. We diminished faithfully right now. It's like this in the studies that I do. They're very long, not all of them, but it's an in-depth look. And that's why I've decided on Wednesday night to carry on with the book of Ezekiel. I did skip Jeremiah and Lamentations because it's too much similarity with Isaiah. But Ezekiel is the prophet that they say that he smoked weeds because of the visions that he had and so forth. But he's so rich and fun, and with all the actions that he's demanded to do and the angelic host around him, that's the place where I would like to take you. And once again, for those who are interested in the end time, you will struggle if you have not studied or read your Old Testament. I promise that you will find that tough. Because if you want to understand the book of Revelation, it's an absolute necessity to do at least Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. Are you with me? I have no words either in French language or in English to give you an expression of how precise is the Bible. The 1,000-year reign and the second coming and the Shekinah glory. And then after the 1,000-year reign, there will be the eternal order, where the roads of the New Jerusalem coming down will be paved with gold and so on and so forth, which the earth was like this prior to becoming void and dark. So you start here on my board. Can you see my board in totality? In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And you carry on in time until now, right now. And then on the other side of the board, on the little plank black right there, we will be brought back in the state where we was supposed to be at the very beginning. But it happened that we live in between. We live in between. We don't want to go to heaven playing violins with a little circle on the head for 1,000 years and singing how great thou art. There is another mindset. God has something different in his mind. You cannot study these things without being rewarded for it. Do not say in your heart what you might say in your heart right now. I'm not doing it for the rewards. No. We don't do it for the rewards, but there will be rewards anyway. You are not wasting your time. No. You will have to share these things with people in the Messianic kingdom. You will have to explain with Isaiah 11, the 7-branch lampstand. You will need to explain what it does represent. It's in your note. Go back in chapter 11. You will explain this to the people born in the Messianic kingdom, born with the sin nature, and you will evangelize with all your notes of Isaiah. Not your notes, because they will be left behind, but the book won't. And you will know your book. Lowercase c, the subservience of the Gentiles, chapter 60, verses 10 to 14. Beloved, one more thing. You know me. How sometimes I can come across, and it's hard to hear. The church age right now at large, are wasting their time. Verses 10 to 14, you come with me. Foreigners will build up your walls, and their kings will minister to you. For in my wrath I struck you. In my favor I had compassion on you. Your gates will be open continually. They will not be closed day or night, so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations, with their kings led in procession. For the nation and the king which will not serve you will perish, and the nations will be utterly ruined. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the juniper, the box tree, and the cypress together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. Temple number 4. And I shall make the place of my feet glorious. The sons of those who afflicted you will come bowing to you. And all those who despise you will bow themselves at the sole of your feet. And they will call you the city of Jehovah, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Washroom pause for those who would like to just drink a water. 2 minutes. And then we come back and we do another 20, 25. Make sense?
Way too much.
It does, eh?
And I grew up learning some of this.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good. If you grew up learning some of this, means that you went to a church where the pastor was premillennialist, pre-tribulationist, and
We're taught the rapture.
good. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Have I been offending those on the cam?
No,
Okay.
no, this is good. It says here, for the nation and kingdom which will not serve you will perish. So even in the millennial kingdom, there's going to be trouble?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Not in totality. Not at all. It's going to be minor, but it's taught in the book of Zechariah and in this book also. You will have to send procession, and if you rebel to this, you won't have your reigns in time. You won't have the reign in time. There will be an extent of punishment to those who disobey the commands of the Messiah.
So our task, we'll have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely, you will have a work to do. You will be appointed somewhere without the capacity to sin. Okay, because you're going to have a glorified body, not exactly like Christ, but very similar than the one of Christ, because we're not God. Your body will be glorified in absence of the sin nature. You won't stumble on your words anymore. You won't have nervousness in sharing, and you will be in charge of a square of a place in the earth. And it will be based upon how we serve in the church age, not your previous life, and nor my previous life. Is going to be based upon how we are acting in serving in the church age type of thing. So that's why I said to you very honestly, look, making eye contact with some, we are not wasting our time now here, and I know it's difficult. You will witness that, Kenneth, yourself. We will start Revelation with a number of people, and faithfully it's going to dwindle down. People are not interested in this anymore. It's too long. They want the microwave. You know McDonald's, when you enter this, there is about 10,000 buzzer, the fries are ready, beep, 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 beep. They want a McDonald's theology, microwave style, not us. TSM doesn't do that.
I still boil my water for my tea. I don't put it in my tea.
I don't either. All right, the subservience, we'll wait for Germaine, of the Gentiles. Okay, I read the passage, if I'm not mistaken, from 10 to 14. I read it. Here, Isaiah does elaborate on two statements made earlier. Come with me in Isaiah 45. Isaiah 45, verse 14. Isaiah 45, verse 14. Isaiah in chapter 60, verses 10 to 14, will elaborate on 45:14. Thus says Jehovah, the products of Egypt and the merchandise of Cush and the Sabaeans, men of stature, will come over to you and will be yours. They will walk behind you. They will come over in chains and will bow down to you. They will make supplications to you. Surely God is with you, and there is no one else, no other God. They will say that. He will elaborate on that now. Go to 49:23. 49:23 says, kings will be your guardians, and their princesses your nurses. They will bow down to you with their face to the earth and lick the dust of your feet. And you will know that I am Jehovah. Those who hopefully wait for me will not be put to shame. Now Isaiah elaborates on that in 10 to 14. Let's take it one verse at a time. I read it, verse 10. Foreigners will build your walls, will build up your walls, and their kings will minister to you. For in wrath I struck you, and in my favor I had compassion on you. Not only they will be helping in regathering, but they will be helping also in rebuilding the temple. The Jerusalem in the Messianic kingdom will be rebuilt by means of Gentile aids, or bringing material if you want to put also. Not only helping in regathering, but also helping in rebuilding. Why is this? Verse 10b. Because in my wrath I struck you, but in my favor I had compassion on you. The compassion will be greater than the smiting. They will be smitten by the great tribulation and so on. but his loving kindness and compassion is immeasurable. Verse 11, your gates will be open continually, they will not be closed day or night, so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations with their kings led in procession. Simply put, gates always open, so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations. So there will be delegations coming, and they will come once a year. That's the passage that you would like to read concerning your punishment, dear Kenneth. Most likely, this will be the fulfillment of Zechariah 14, verses 16 to 19. Because all the Gentiles on the planet will have to send delegations on the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Feast of Tabernacles will be restored in the Messianic kingdom. Just listen, audit it. I'm going to read for you the Zechariah 14 and stay in your Isaiah. You will understand good at that point. Then it will come about, verse 16 in Zechariah 14, then it will come about that any who are left of all the nations that went against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King Jehovah of hosts and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. That's tabernacle. And it will be that whichever of the families of the earth does not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King Jehovah of hosts, there will be no rain on them. Okay? If the family of Egypt does not go up or enter, then no rain will fall on them. It will be the plague with which Jehovah smite the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. Then will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. This is a Messianic kingdom passage. It goes to verse 11. They will be closed by night. The Gentiles will have access to the temple and so on. It will be mandatory for us to go. Or if you do not go personally, you're going to have to be in charge to send a delegation representing where you will be ruling. One thing to keep in mind, Gentiles will help to regather, and secondly, help to rebuild. Verse 13. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the juniper, the box tree, the cypress, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I shall make the place of my feet glorious. If you read 1st and 2nd Chronicle and also 1st and 2nd Samuel, when Solomon built the temple, what did he import from Lebanon? The cedars. So there was that kind of wood from Lebanon in the north, in temple number 1, the Solomonic temple, and there will be the same type of wood in temple number 4, the millennial or the messianic, the 1,000-year temple. When you read in your Bible the glory of Lebanon, a little bit like in verse 13 here, the glory of Lebanon, it's an idiom. It's idiomatic expression for the Jewish temple. The glory of Lebanon is the Jewish temple. You find that idiom in Isaiah 35:2. And you find this idiom also in Zechariah 11, verses 1 to 3. If only now you're making note and we study. Verse 13b, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. Circle sanctuary, it's temple number 4. And as a result of the returning of the Shekinah, can you imagine how glorious it will be? I just leave that with you. You will see the Shekinah glory.
Hopefully they've had tree planting.
Mm-hmm. In the Messianic kingdom, there will be tree planting, there will be trees and animal.
I think a lot of Lebanon was destroyed, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's not much wood there anymore. So the temple is rebuilt, the Shekinah glory returning, and indeed, beloved, it will be glorious. Are you with me? If only we would stop to worship this age, this planet, this world, our country. What's awaiting you, beloved, cannot really be described. You need to, it's Isaiah and Revelation chapter, the full chapter 20, and so on, and much more than this. What's awaiting you, I don't think that we have the capacity to fully comprehend this, what's coming. The return of the Shekinah glory, we like the word, visible manifestation of God's presence. But I'm asking you a question, please do not answer. Do you believe that you will see this? If you sit under amillennialism, just an allegory of something, they allegorize it. No, right. What Isaiah says will happen. It has to be literally, unless indicated otherwise. We will open with a banquet, with wine and choice food and so on. It will be wine. It will be, not grape juice. The Jews, they don't like grape juice. And what if you're sitting down beside Habakkuk? And Habakkuk looks at you with his glass of wine, you do cheers, ding! And he says, hi, François. I am Habakkuk. Oh, really? I'm François. Have you read my book? I wrote a book. I don't want you to blush. Read Habakkuk. There will be Christians that will say, what? I never heard that name before. Need to open the Bible. On Sunday morning, can not only play music, I have nothing against music, but teach the Word. So that the people will not blush for 1,000 year in the 1,000-year kingdom. They won't lose their salvation. That's impossible. But some will have nothing to show forth. And here, 85 years, I have nothing to show forth. I own nothing. I own nothing, telling you the truth. I don't have a house. I rent an apartment. My car's paid for. It's the only thing I own. Every time I sat in it, it's falling apart $1,000 a day. How many years will I live? 75, 80, 85 at the most? I don't exercise, so maybe 68. In comparison to 1,000 year, it's a drop in the bucket. What's my point? Let us take this seriously once and for all. And I know you do. You show it. Verse 14. The sons of those who afflicted you will come bowing down to you. No peace here. And all of those who despise you, anti-Semitism, will bow themselves to the sole of your feet, and they will call the city of Jehovah the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. The descendant of anti-Semites will become subservient to Israel. It will be a period where anti-Semitism will basically completely disappear until the end of the 1,000-year reign, at the last revolt. They will recognize that Jerusalem is not their capital. The Arab people will realize that this is not their capital. It's a Jewish land. It's hard to swallow, eh? But this is Jewish land. The Zion of the Holy One of Israel.
There's never going to be a need for the gates anymore.
Mm-hmm. There will be gates,
Yeah, but
symbolic.
They're not there
Nope.
to protect anymore. They're allowed, because
Give me another 10 minutes. I know, Kenneth, it's late. I just want to deal with the exaltation of Jerusalem. Okay? Lowercase d, 15 to 22. I'm going to go verse by verse. I'm not going to read everything. I will read everything, but not twice. We start right now. Look at my fingers. I have 7 things to say. Place your eyes on 15 to 22. That's the remaining part of the chapter. The only reason I feel I slept better last night, so I have a little bit more energy. Just relax if we don't finish it, but we will. 7 things. 15a. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, circle forsaken and hated, with no one passing through, I will make you an everlasting pride, circle pride, a joy from generation to generation. 15a is number 1. And all the emphasis of the passage is on changes. Things will change. When? In the Messianic reign. What will be the change of 15a? Once forsaken and hated. Now, it's not number 2. Now, pride or excellency. Pride, excellency, and joy. And the pride will basically be on their national regeneration. All the Jews at that time, in this period of time, will be saved until the very end of the world, until the end of the Messianic kingdom. Your second element is in verse 16. You will also suck the milk of nations, plural, Gentiles, and suck the breast of kings. Then you will know that I, Jehovah, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Nations and kings, number 2, will give up their own vital energy. It's a fulfillment of Deuteronomy 33:19. I'm going to read that for you. Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 19. This will be a fulfillment of that. 33:19. They will call peoples to the mountain. There they will offer righteous sacrifices, and they will draw out the abundance of the sea, Gentile world, and the hidden treasures of the sand. It was never fulfilled. It will be in the 1,000-year reign. Deuteronomy 33:19. Number 3 out of 7, verse 17. Instead of bronze, gold. Instead of iron, silver. Instead of wood, bronze. Instead of stones, iron. I will make peace your administrators, circle peace administrators, and righteousness your overseers. Number 3, in verse 17a, Jerusalem will be beautified with costly stone. It will be beautified with costly stone. This was your number 3. Number 4, verse 17 also. Their leaders, finally, will provide peace and righteousness, contrary to any